we're on to the NFC South. Now, this division probably will be the worst division in football. Okay, I mean, it's gonna be dreadful. We got Desmond Ridder for the Atlanta Falcons. We put Kyle Pitts up as the pitcher because he's the most recognizable, the best player probably on the team. He probably will be the best player on the team this season. The Saints got Derek Carr. Buccaneers got Baker Mayfield, who's taking over for Tom Brady after he retired. And Bryce Young, the Carolina Panthers, who they hope will be the next franchise quarterback. Now, let's just get right to it. And before we start, guys, hit the like and subscribe button on this channel, on this YouTube channel if you're watching on YouTube. If you're watching on Twitter, follow us on Twitter, GridironSteady. If you're watching on Facebook, follow us SportsSteady TV. And if you're on Instagram, because we're not posting these on Instagram, but if you have an Instagram, you like sports, follow SportsSteady on Instagram. They post some good stuff over there from time to time. But anyway, if you want to see breakdown by breakdown win-loss records from each one of these teams, you can find each team breakdown on SportsSteady TV on YouTube. youtube.com/SportsSteadyTV. All right. So let's take it from the bottom and work our way up to the top. So we got the Carolina Panthers at 4-13. They're gonna win 4 games this year. They're gonna be the worst team probably the worst team in football. To be honest, they're gonna be bad. We have zero hope for the Carolina Panthers. They're gonna be so bad, it's not even funny. And they're gonna finish the year on like a long losing streak, right? So early on in the season, they'll win a few games, like week 1 in Atlanta. We'll give them that. They'll win at home against Minnesota, which would be a pretty surprising win. Somehow they'll pull that off. And they'll win in Houston, at home against Houston, and at home against the Colts, which are, these 2 games are expected. So in reality, Carolina could probably win 2 games, right? They could win like 2 games, really. We gave them 4. This is their high. This is the highest they can get. The most wins we think they can come up with is 4. But in reality, they'll probably win like 2 games. They could probably win 2. Would I be shocked if they won 2 games? No, I wouldn't. But yeah, it's gonna be a bad year for Carolina. So 4 wins is like their ceiling. So we gave them best case scenario, 4-13 for Carolina. Look, they'll be in line for another pick next year. Top pick, maybe they can get because they already got the quarterback if he's good. Maybe they'll draft a wide receiver. They can get Marvin Harrison Jr. if he comes out. They can get somebody else. Maybe they could trade down and get some assets and build off of that. Who knows? But we do know that Carolina will be one of the worst teams in football, probably the worst. Record-wise, they'll have the second worst record in football, according to our calculations. Now, let's go on here. Any primetime games to look out for Carolina? They did. Bryce Young is the quarterback. The NFL hooked them up with a big primetime game, something that we might like. I don't really see nothing here interesting. I guess if you want to say October 29th, you could see CJ Stroud versus Bryce Young. Is that a sellable matchup? 1 o'clock on Fox. I don't think people will really care outside the region. Or November 5th at home to Indianapolis. Anthony Richardson, 4 o'clock. That game might draw some attention. Or what about week 10 against at Chicago? No, that's a Thursday night. No one cares about Thursday night. Yeah, so really there's no games here that like jump out at you like, oh my God, this is gonna we have to watch it. Because I think the NFL knows that Carolina's gonna suck. Moving on, our next team, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, Tampa Bay's new quarterback, right, after Tom Brady retires. They're still bringing back some of the same pieces on offense, right? They still got some pretty decent receivers. Look, Tampa is a team that um we're not high on Tampa, but I wouldn't be shocked if Tampa exceeded expectations, our expectations. We have the low. We gave Tampa the low bar. 5-12 is where we got them. We're not sold on Baker Mayfield. Well, at this point, when we did the predictions, we didn't really know who the quarterback was going to be. But we know now it's Baker Mayfield, but we're going to stick to our predictions. We're not going to change it. So, but Baker Mayfield, he's been around the block. Could he do well here? Possibly, because you got Evans, you got Godwin, right? Otten. I mean, these are decent weapons. And it's still the NFC South. So, Tampa is definitely the wild card team here. If a team in this division could exceed that we know that it's very possible that they could exceed expectations, it would be Tampa. But I'm just not sold. I think Tampa's best chance here is just to tear it down. Maybe even trade those receivers. I would suggest maybe they should just trade Evans or Godwin and try to start over. Because that's what's going to happen. They don't have a quarterback. Mayfield's not the answer for the future. He'll probably give you a year or two of good, but he's not the answer. By the time they figure it out, the receivers are already going to be like, I'm out of here. I want to go. Maybe they'll stick around because they did win already, so they feel like. But when you go from Tom Brady to Baker Mayfield, those receivers are not going to be excited for that. I'm just saying. It could be, you could see some potential problems going from Tom Brady to Baker Mayfield. I mean, the Buccaneers offense did struggle a bit last year, but Brady still threw for almost 5,000 yards despite that. So you get Baker Mayfield, who's going to throw for 2,000, 3,000 yards tops, 3,500. He's not Tom Brady. Even at Brady's old age, he was still better than most of the NFL. So we got Tampa 5-12. Let's see, any big games to look out for. Monday nighter on at home to Philly potentially. It's on ABC's prime time. Monday night game. That could be something, maybe. I don't know. 7:15 start. Probably not. You can go with there's really not much here either that I'm excited about as far as like a prime time. They're gonna struggle. They're gonna struggle in the middle of the season. They're gonna struggle early on. It's gonna be a struggle. So let's move on. Next, Derek Carr. Derek Carr, who was with the Raiders. Now he's with the New Orleans Saints. He's looking to turn this thing around. The Saints, who I will say the Saints are kind of tough to predict because of the Michael Thomas, and we know Alvin Kamara will be out. I think for the first 3 games or something like that, 2 or 3 games, 4 games, he'll be out. But once he comes back, that's going to be a pretty good for the Saints. Derek Carr, him and Michael Thomas, right? They could probably have a good connection. The defense is solid, right? Cameron Jordan. I don't think the Saints are going to be that good this year. We gave them the low end is 7 wins, 7-10 where we got them. But could they win 9 games? Could they win 10 games? Yeah, they probably could. But we just don't see it. But would I be shocked if they did? Yeah. I mean, no, I wouldn't. So we got them at 7-10. A couple games to look out for as far as interesting games would be, I think the possibly October 19th, Thursday night at home to Jacksonville, Carr versus Lawrence, maybe. Or November 12th, Carr versus Cousins on Fox, 1 o'clock. Not many primetime games at all, except for week 2 at Carolina. That is the Monday nighter, 7 o'clock. and then the Jacksonville one on Thursday. But the Monday night is the real prime time. Sunday night, Monday night, and Saints don't have any of those. They have like one. So the NFL knows Saints will suck. And then the last team, the team that will win the division, the Atlanta Falcons. The Atlanta Falcons will be 9-8 this year. They will win the division and be the number 3 seed. That's our predictions. The Falcons. Now, out of the Falcons, probably have the second worst quarterback, at least from a projection standpoint. Like, I mean, Desmond Ridder is not somebody that people are like excited about, but Desmond, I think that the Falcons, I think Kyle Pitts is gonna have a good year. I think he's gonna be good for Desmond Ridder. Juno Smith, another target tight end who's a tight end too. You know, these are nice weapons that Ridder could possibly use. Scotty Miller, who came from Tampa, as a slot receiver potentially. Not the sexiest names, but I believe there's always a wild card here, right? There's always teams that you're just not expecting. And Atlanta is just one of those teams that we're picking as a team that you're just not going to see coming. You're not expecting them. Every season, you go back last 20, 30 years, there's always a team or two that was really good and they come back down to earth, or they become bad, or there's always a couple teams that sucked that surprise you. And I think Atlanta is one of those teams that will have a much better season than people expect. And I think that they have enough to get to 9 wins, which will be enough to win the division. So that's what I see here. Now, they don't have any major primetime games at all. The NFL's not seeing it that way like we're seeing it. We're taking a risk. All their games are like, none of their games are prime time. All 1 o'clock games except for the one that's played, I think, overseas against Jacksonville in week 4. And there's a couple 2 TBDs to be determined later in the year. So depending on how well the Falcons doing, those games might be nationally televised. Who knows? Or like on prime time. But yeah, I mean, I think the Falcons are gonna have a better second half of the season. They're gonna start out pretty shaky. They're gonna turn it up in the second half. Like after the bye week, you know, they'll win 4 of the next. They'll go 4-3 to close out the season and win the division. There'll be some tough losses though, because the second half of the season is tough. I mean, they're gonna, you know, they have to finish the year off 3 of the last 4 on the road to get to the division. But I think the key victories, winning games that you're supposed to win down the stretch, right? Like winning at Carolina, winning at home against Tampa, Indianapolis, and getting some key victories at home to Minnesota will help them get the division win. But it's very close. I mean, these teams, the margin of error is very slim. So the Falcons, a couple games go the other way, New Orleans could be the division champs, or even Tampa, right? So that's just how it goes. But that's what we believe for the NFC South. It's not a good division to me. I don't like it much. So we like the Falcons. It's kind of like a flip a coin moment there. So we'll see what this Desmond Ridder guy could do for the Falcons, as he's going to be leading the Falcons to a division title. And if that happens, they'll be the 3 seed according to our predictions, because that's just how it's set up. And they'll host a home game. How about that? Atlanta Falcons hosting a home game. So let's recap. Atlanta Falcons 9-8. New Orleans Saints 7-10. Tampa Bay Buccaneers 5-12. And the Carolina Panthers 4-13. Those are our predictions. So let us know what you think about that in the comments. Also, if you want to see breakdown by breakdown win-loss picks, go to SportsCity TV on YouTube and find your team, whether it be Panthers, Bucs, Saints, Falcons, or any other team that you care about. We got all 32 NFL teams on SportsCity TV. Win-loss predictions for each game, every moment. and with commentary. So that's how we come to. If you want to find out how did we get to these records, how did we come up with these numbers? Did we just make them up out of thin air? Do they even match? Do they even make sense? Well, they do, because we did every single game and we did it live. So I didn't make these numbers up. Every game matches, every win-loss matches up with what the predictions say. We did it game by game. That's how we got to these win-loss. So if you want to know how we got to it, go to SportsSteady TV, find your team, or watch all 32. That'd be nice if you did, but and they're not that long, 10, 15 minutes a piece. Try to be quick about it. All right, guys, when we come back, don't forget our next video up. If you stay on, hit the notification bell. We got the NFC North. We're going to break down the Green Bay Packers and what Jordan Love, can he pick up where Aaron Rodgers left off and get the Packers back to prominence in this division, or will a surprise team ready to take the reins and finally get to the big dance? So you'll find out as we get going to the NFC North next on GridironSteady. Thanks for watching. Sports page run by sports fans. Peace.